What's going on, guys? Paul, Country Strong Outdoors. Man, I tell you what, thinking about turkey hunting and turkey season coming up and getting here quick, man. It's rolling. It's getting here. And I was thinking, in the series that we're doing here at Country Strong Outdoors, I talked to you about the importance of camo in your gun, and pattern your gun. Get that good choke too. Pattern what you shoot. Pattern what you're going to hunt with. Had that conversation with you. Tony gave you some really good advice about being camo and being still and knowing the woods. And Tony is a veteran turkey hunter. He's been hunting turkeys for a long time. Been very, very successful. Killed a bunch of big old long beards, and you can listen to Tony and you can learn something. I learned from Tony a lot, man. I tell you what, he's a good turkey hunter, and Tony and I we were talking the other day, and both in agreement, man, that there's two different types of turkey hunting. I mean, you get in there and you hear that bird on the roost and you get him to gobble, and you set up on him and you work that one particular bird, and then there's that time when you go in the woods and there's turkey in that area. They're there. You just don't know where they're at. They're not gobbling. And I'm gonna tell you what, in a lot of places right now, that's becoming the case. And I don't know, but I think it's because of all the coyotes that are here now, and for whatever reason, they got reestablished here in South Carolina. A lot of people, nobody wants to take the credit for it, but for whatever reason, they're reestablished here in South Carolina. And I think the turkeys, they'll gobble on the roost, but they don't, when they get on the ground, they don't want to gobble a whole lot, because I think it's because of the coyotes. I think they know if they say a whole lot, when they get on the ground, the coyotes are going to come after them. We're hunting those turkeys along with the coyotes. The coyotes are hunting those turkeys just like we are. So yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with when our turkeys are not gobbling like they used to when they got on the ground. But I've been turkey hunting a long time, and I've seen it change out and back. But to the point it is now, it's kind of ridiculous. You get out there and you hear birds gobble on the roost, and they don't gobble like they used to on the roost, but they still gobble. And then when they hit the ground, man, they don't say a word. They don't want to say nothing. Every now and then you can get one that'll work right for you, but it's not like it used to be. And I think the coyotes and whoever introduced them, whatever happened, however it happened, it don't really matter anymore. It's like that's not the biggest deal out there. How it happened or what made it happen doesn't really matter anymore. They're here. We have to deal with them. We have to live with them. And maybe when the turkeys get a little bit more accustomed to them, I don't know, but maybe they'll go back to acting like the wild turkeys used to, and how they ought to, and how they should. Gobbling on the ground and giving you a super good hunt. South Carolina is still a great state to hunt wild turkey, and don't get me wrong, it really is. And sometimes you'll get one to work and get him in there, he gets so fired up, he'll gobble no matter what happens, and that's great. But it's been a transition, I'll put it that way. But anyway, when you're in there and there's turkey in the area, a lot of times you want to sit up, make a few calls, and give it some time. You might want to move down further after a while, however long you feel comfortable, set up again. And that's a great way to hunt. And that's kind of a way that we have grown to sometimes have to hunt now, with the birds not really talking that much. So that's just the way it is. Today I want to talk to you about a couple things, and the first thing that I want to talk to you about is locating turkeys. Now, locating turkeys, when I talk about that, I'm talking about after you've done your scouting and you've got in the woods and you put the boots on the ground, like Tony said the other day. and you found those scratching areas where the turkeys are scratching. Maybe you found some sandy spots that are being used for dusting, and you know, the dusting and the scratching, it's great sign, especially the fresh stuff, and you can tell if it's fresh or not. And that just lets you know turkeys are in the area. I'm gonna give you a little tip, and I have found this to be true. Some people say it's not, but I found it to be true. If you find places where the turkey scratching is like around a tree in almost in a circular pattern, that tends to be a gobbler or a male turkey. Not be a jake or could be a longbeard, but it's normally, if he's scratching around that tree at the base of that tree, for some reason, it seems like the gobblers, the male birds, seem to do that more often than the hens. So that's a good sign. Then you can find the droppings, and of course, well, y'all know, in a glob is a hen, and a jay is normally a male bird. So you can look at that. Don't forget to look at those in those grassy areas when those birds they'll get in that grassy areas and they'll pop the tops of that grass off, and it almost looks like it's been bitten, and it has been by their beak, but it'll be popped off. They'll eat that grass, and you know, the birds like to get in them pine thickets, get them caterpillars and them spiders, and so you never know where the turkeys are going to be, but you can get in there and normally you can find some sort of sign that lets you know that turkeys are in that area. So now we know they're there. We've done our scout. We know there's turkeys there. You go back that morning, you're going to hunt. Well, what you really want to hear is that bird gobbling on the roost. That's what you want to hear. You want to set up there. You want to get ready, get to a spot where you can hear. If you can get to a high spot that's kind of overlooking the area, then you can hear most of that whole area. That's awesome. Get up there and listen. I'll tell you what I like to do. Now, this is probably may not be the general rule, or may not be the most popular thing to do, but I like it when those birds gobble all on their own. I love that more than anything. If I'm standing there and listening and I hadn't done anything, I haven't made any kind of sound to try to make those birds gobble, and all of a sudden they hammer. I like that more than anything. Natural, just the natural noises, maybe a crow or whatever, or an owl, or maybe somebody shuts a car door over there somewhere or anything, whatever, and that bird hammers, or if he just hammers on his own. I've seen it all different ways. That's my favorite time, is when that bird I'm sitting there, I'm listening and anticipating, and all of a sudden I hear him just pow. He just hammers, lets her rip, and that's my favorite time. So here, I'm telling you what, when you're locating those birds, you want that bird to be gobbling. It's to give you an opportunity to get close to him. That's what you want to do. You want him to gobble so you can get close to him. So if you're going in there and he gobbles on that ridge over there, you want to try to get over there to him as close as you can get before he drops off that limb without spooking him. Now, I'm not talking about trying to get right up under him. I'm just talking about trying to get as close as you can get without spooking him. So if the woods open up, once you get over there, you may not can get more than a couple hundred yards from him. You may have to stop back a couple hundred yards if you're afraid you're going to spook him. You don't want him to see you at all. You don't want him to see you and not even know what you are. You just want to slide in there and get as close as you can. The woods, whatever the woods and the terrain will allow, to get as close as you can without spooking. And if he'll keep gobbling, man, you can pinpoint him. You can keep moving, and you can get over there to him. You know, if he don't gobble, that's kind of hard to do. You're gonna have to stop short because you don't have a clue where he's at. You don't want to spook him. Spooking is worse than anything. I'd rather be a long ways from him than spook him. You don't want to spook him. If you can any way possibly help it, you don't want to spook him. So you get him gobbling, but I love for him just to be gobbling on his own, because that means that he's normally a very, very fired up turkey. If he's gobbling totally on his own, nothing saying a word, just him. He's just rocking and rolling. And he's pretty fired up. Also, now, there's always two sides to every story. A lot of times, that means there's hens really near him. That means when he's gobbling on the roost and nothing else is going on and he's just gobbling and hammering, he's really fired up, but he's probably got hens close by. So that's okay though. That's all right. I'm gonna tell you, you slide in there on him, and I tell you, I love, unless you've been hunting him. Let's just say this is the first morning you've been in there hunting him. You slide in there, you hear him gobbling. I like to try to get on the same ridge he's on, the same level. So if he's on a ridge, I want to be on that ridge if I can. I want to be on that ridge with him. No matter how far I am from him, I want to be on that ridge with him if I can be. That's where knowing the woods super important. So when you hear him gobble, you get up, started and then you hear him gobble again, you know exactly where that bird's at. Then you know what ridge you need to be on. If there's a roadbed on that ridge, yeah, it means a lot. But I want to be on the same ridge with him. I'd like to be either on the same elevation as him or maybe a little higher than him if possible. And then I want to slide in there as close as I can get that the terrain will let me. So if he'll keep gobbling, that gives me an opportunity to do that and know exactly where he's at. And if he's gobbling on his own, we know he's fired up, we know there's hens there, but that's all right. We can compete with those hens. So anyway, locating that bird. It's so important that you know where he's at, you hear him, you know where he's at, you know how to get to him. Knowing the woods, once you locate that bird, you got to know them woods, like Tony said. So you know how to get to that bird and what's going to be out there. All right, so how do we locate birds that are not gobbling on their own? You go out there and it's just, everything's waking up. Now the general rule has always been when the red birds, the cardinals, we call them red birds, when they start their tweeting, they're the first things to wake up in the morning normally. But when they'll do it, it's possible to get a turkey to do it. It's possible to get him to wake up and call. Used to be a long time ago, and guys, I hate to keep talking about a long time ago and back how it used to be, but doggone, it was so much better. And you could get one to gobble 30 minutes before daylight. Them birds start tweeting and you could hoot or whatever, and them things just start hammering. And you could get on. And any of you old guys like me that turkey hunted back in the day, you know I'm telling the truth, that you used to get those birds to open up way early, and you could get in there to them and close the distance, and it was just all because they would gobble, man. They'd gobble on the ground. But you get in there and set up. So, but a lot of times, when it starts getting ready and them red birds start tweeting, and you wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, hoping he'll just get fired up on his own, and you don't hear anything, then is when you got to start trying to do something to make that rascal gobble. And I do two different things. I owl hoot and I crow call. And I'll be honest with you, I love the owl hoot, but it seems like the crow call works better nowadays. It used to, the owl hoot was the number one thing. And they'll still gobble at it, guys. Don't think they won't. But it's not as effective as it used to be. I'm just telling you, it's just not. I mean, I love it, and I love the owl hoot, and I love the sound of the owl hoot, but it's not nearly as effective as it used to be. But the crow call is, and the thing about a crow call is it's good all day. And I have always thought of the owl hoot in the mornings and the crow call the rest of the day. But you can use crow call in the morning. You want to wait until you hear the first real crow out there. Now then you start calling, or whatever you want to call it. Start talking. You hear him, and then you can go ahead and start blowing your crow call. But man, I tell you what, I love to hit that owl hoot real early in the morning before just the birds are tweeting, but there ain't a whole lot else going on. You throw that owl hoot out there, and it can be, you can have amazing results. And I want to talk to you about that, and I want to show you how I use the owl hooter and how I use crow call. If you can get them to gobble at the crow call or the owl hooter, then they're not looking for you. They're just gobbling. And that makes a huge difference, because that way they gobbled at that, but they're not looking for that. They're not going to start moving towards that. So after you get him to gobble and you want to work your way to him and sit up and try to call him in, you don't have to worry about him meeting you halfway and busting him and running him off and spooking. So if you can do it with the crow, I use the Primos Power Crow. That's what I use. Primos Power Crow. I love this call. Real loud. If you notice the way the end's made right there, you can bite down on that thing and cause it to make a higher pitch sound, and sometimes that can be very effective. I like to use the crow call in different ways, and but you want to, with any kind of locator call, you want to start off with like a quick pop burst, so you can hit him, and if he's just right there ready to gobble, and you hit like 2 calls, and you might pop and he gobble. Now if you're just sitting there hammering away on this thing, you might not even hear him gobble. And same thing with the owl hooter. You want to start off hitting him like with one, and then see if he'll gobble. If he don't, throw a full bleed call in there on him. And I do it a lot of times with my mouth, a lot of times with this call. I've got this HS and this owl, and I love this. To me, is the best. And I mean, it's the HS strut. And I think it's the best. To me, the best owl hooter call out there. I like to do it with my mouth, but sometimes you just can't do it with your mouth. And not always. You might have I don't know. There's just times I don't feel right doing it with my mouth, and I use this thing, and it works great, and I love it. It's loud enough. It's got the good tone. Sounds like an owl. There you go. But you always want to start off with that quick burst, see if he'll gobble, listen, hit him again a little bit more, and change it up. And I tell you, with the crow call or the owl hooter, you want to hit it hard and be loud, because you can, a lot of times he might want to gobble, but if you hit him really pop him, it'll shock. They call it a shock gobble. You just hit him and he just lets rip, and then you know where he's at, and that makes a difference. Knowing where that gobbler's at makes a huge difference sometimes. Guys, I tell you what, I hope you have a great season. I hope you fill your tags and have a wonderful time doing it. And put us some comments, send us some pictures, let us know what's going on. Send us some pictures to my Facebook page. I got a Facebook, Paul Goldsmith on Facebook, Country Strong Outdoors on Facebook, Outdoors Country Strong on Instagram. Send me some pictures. Let me know what you got going on. Send pictures of your turkeys, talk about your hunts, drop it in the comments. I'm good to go with it, man. Let me know what you think. If you heard something today in this video that you didn't agree with, let me know about it. Hey, I've been hunting for a long time, but I learn every day. I learn every hunt. Hey, I tell you what, if you really want to learn something about turkey hunting, listen to this video, and you might learn a thing. But you get out there hunting, you're gonna learn something. And I do every year. I learn from those turkeys because they're the best teachers out there. And if you want to learn about turkey hunting, the best thing to do is get out there and learn. Get out there and hunt. They'll teach you something real fast. All right, guys. I hope y'all have a great time. Stay safe. Enjoy your season, and I'll see you on the next one.